Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is video number 3, second installment for the Cloud Privileged Access Workstation. So I just wanted to get that previous video about the cost-effective site-to-site VPN out. So that's why this is out of sync now. Anyway, moving on. Cloud Privileged Access Workstation. Is it a good idea or is it not? Yes, I think it is. But you have to use it with a bit of caution, shall I say. So ideally, there is no substitute for a physical privileged access workstation. Nothing beats it because it's isolated and it's it's your only device that you use for accessing. Whereas using a cloud-PAW, you've got another device in the mix too, which is your machine you're going to log on to AVD or Win365 from. So in essence, the source that you're accessing the privileged access workstation from isn't clean. So you have to look at it with a bit of common sense and what do you want to do there? Some people may be asking, well, what if I access it from my home PC? And there's a keylogger on there. Well, you don't want to access it from your home PC. So this is where things like device extension attributes come into play. In the previous video, I touched on the fact that script that ran also set the device extension attribute 1 on the PAW to a value of, I think it was Cloud Privileged Access Workstation. We'll double check that when we go into the conditional access policies later on. So what this does is I can then target a conditional access policy using the block command to say block access to the Microsoft 365 services for any account except when the device extension attribute equals our privileged access workstation. What I've done there is you have to do some exceptions. We'll go through that in the actual how-to to allow access to AVD, Win365 Cloud Logon from another source. How do you lock that down? Well, you do it in the same way, but you target another device extension attribute at the admin's everyday user's PC. That's the way I do it. I mean, hopefully your everyday PC isn't infected with anything. I know we can't guarantee it these days, but you will probably use it cautiously. You won't be going to anything that you shouldn't be going to on your work PC. Hopefully you're not doing that from any PC, but I'll leave that up to you. But in essence, you want to make sure that the source is as clean as possible. I know that adds in another layer of complexity security because when it comes to the assume breach, you can't assume that your everyday PC's clean. But not everyone has the time, resources, the budget, or the effort to go to the extent of purchasing a new device, getting that sent out to the user and using that. So I personally think AVD is a happy medium for this. Again, Win365 is good, but AVD, you've got a bit more control over it, I think. And especially with the startup shutdown option. And to follow on from that, I've updated my script so we don't need to go in and tell the machines to shut down now. At 7 o'clock every night after we've configured it, that the script does all that for us. So yeah, I think a cloud-PAW is good. It's something, because if you're not doing anything, I think it's a step in the right direction. It does secure your access. Using a compliant device just doesn't cut it. I have seen recently where I can access privileged resources from any machine, which really kind of freaked me out. Hopefully it will freak a lot of you out when I say that. And get this, accounts were synced. So the ADM account was synced into the cloud. So again, in my book, and I'm sure in many books, and it's a big Microsoft no-no. Maybe I'll touch on that in another video. Or you can see from the podcast that Nate and I are doing, not another tech podcast. We were talking about things like that, and we'll dive into that in a bit more depth. Anyway, I'll chat no more. I'll just get straight into it, and we can look at how to set these device extension attributes and what you need to do in terms of conditional access. Okay, let's head over to the portal. So if you remember on the first video I did, I left it in a state where you could access the Cloud Privileged Access Workstation via the Windows app, but this essentially is from any device, anywhere. So this is my Mac. It's not enrolled in my dev tenant. It's not got anything set, so I can just load up just like this. So it's configuring the PC, and it should then connect. So it should, you know what it's like. Oh, it is. So there you go. That's me logged in. I don't want to be able to do that. I want it to be locked down. The other thing, so if I just sign out from here, in fact, let's sign out. So just kill that one. So the other thing as well is I go to, let's just set up a new private window. So if I go to Enterer, for example, ADM, I can't talk and type at the same time. So it wants me to sign in. Continue. That's me signing in. No, I don't want to stay signed in. So you can see now I can sign in to my tenant from any device. Not good. So the first thing we want to do is set a policy to prevent users from signing into the Entra portal or any actual admin portal. I just block everything and only allow them to access from a Cloud Privileged Access Workstation. So if we go to this policy here that I've created, it's off just now. So if we go into it, and I'll just show you what I've set. So I've targeted this at specific users. So I've got a dynamic group for privileged users, that any user that starts with the prefix of ADM _, for example. I've not put in my break glass accounts yet, but they're not in that group, but it's probably good practice to put them in. I've also created this one, so I'll talk about this in another video probably, because there are a couple of quirks I found more so running this on my Mac than anything. The next is I want to target at all resources, so formerly known as all cloud apps. But I've also excluded a few here. So I've excluded the Azure Virtual Desktop, Microsoft Intune enrollment, Windows 365, and Windows Cloud Login. So this is all for enabling me to run certain things. So the Intune enrollment is so I can use autopilot with that account to join a machine if needed, if I've been provided a machine. And of course, these ones are the obvious because I don't want to be blocked for these. I've not done anything for the network. There's no need there. This is where you use the device extension attribute. So in conditions, if you go down towards the bottom, you've got filter for devices. So I've got device matching rule enabled, but I've used exclude. The exclude feature is much better than doing things like include, because if you do include, it doesn't always cover everything. So there you go. So the extension attribute 1 equals Cloud Privileged Access Workstation. So if I go to Entra, and then let's go to devices, go to all devices. If I go for my cPAW, let's go to one of those. There you go, extension attribute 1's that. And then again, the same for this one. So this is all set as part of the scripts we ran in the previous session. What this does is it just sets that device extension attribute for any machine that starts with the name of cPAW, for example. Great, so that's all good. So let's go back to the policy. So that's set as I want it to. And in the grant access, I'm actually saying block. So this will block all access requests to any resource in the Microsoft 365 cloud services, not just Microsoft 365, but Azure as well, because that user is not authenticated. So that's fine. I'm going to turn this on now. So if I hit save, great. I've got access there. So if I now go to a new private session, and let's go to enter again, for example, sign in. Yeah, I told you I can't type and talk. Let's sign in. Again, I love using passwordless authentication. It makes life so much easier. I do have some FIDO2 YubiKeys, but I've lost my keys at the moment, so that's not handy. So you can see here, trying to sign in, and usually get the sign in was successful, but you can't access it right now due to a conditional access. But I've got this one. That could just be something. So that's what we wanted. I can't access it. So if I go to, say, portal.azure.com, there you go. That's what you should typically see. Your sign-in was successful, but does not meet the criteria because I'm not privileged access workstation. So again, if I close this, and now if I go back to my cloud port and sign in, so ask me sign in again. I've just enabled this to request me to sign in at every sign-in. I know that's a lot, but I think for security, you want it to sign in more than less for these kind of accounts. So let's continue. So that's me signing in now. And if I go to, I've got Edge up there, haven't I? Let's go to Edge. So continue. Let's go to Microsoft.com. So there you go. That's me logged into Entra. Let's go try Azure. Oh, again. There you go. So that's me logged into Azure as well. So I can access these resources only from a device that's got Cloud Privileged Access Workstation assigned to it. That's great. But the problem we have now is, well, I can access this AVD session from any device. I don't want that. So we want to lock down access to these Cloud Privileged Access Workstations to prevent me from accessing it from my Mac that's not part of my dev environment, and only allow access from a specific device. So this is my everyday user device, for example. So my admin account is adm andy.camp and my user account is andy.camp. So I log on as andy.camp. So if I go to the portal, you'll see portal.office.com. So I am, there you go, so there you go, that's me. So I'm just logged in as my regular user. I don't have any admin access to this device. I'm signed in as my AndyCamp admin account here, and obviously can access the Privileged Access Workstation, but that's because it's open to anything, anytime. I've got a policy here, so restrict access to CloudPOR. Again, I've targeted at my dynamic group, which is all my ADM accounts. I've not put in the break glass accounts. I should do, so yes, please shout at me. I'll put them in there. Good practice, I think. Just add your break glass accounts to all your policies, even if they're not explicitly called out in them. Always exclude it, because you never know. Target resources. Azure Virtual Desktop, Win365 and Windows Cloud Login. That's all good. And condition. So much like the previous one, I use the filter for devices and exclude, and extension attribute 1 equals access to cPAW. And then the access control is block. So that's off just now, which is why I can access. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. I'm going to hit save. Now, I've been playing around with this for the best part of the morning, and it takes a bit of time to update. So I'll just waffle on here, or shall I pause the video? I don't know. I found that it was a bit hit and miss in terms of timing. So I'm going to go ahead and just pause this for a few minutes and reconvene in a short while to show you how I now have access blocked from both devices, remember, because I've not set the attributes yet. So that's the policy being enabled, and I've now gone back to both my my Mac and my VM. So I actually went into my Mac and removed the account. So I've just gone to add it again. And so if I try and add my account, andy.kemp at andykempdev.onmicrosoft.com, and it's not letting me log in. It doesn't validate me. So again, if I go and do the same from this one, so I was already connected, it would let me allow me to connect. Hit connect. Again, hopefully, I'm using temporary access pass. Yeah, because I lost my FIDO2 key, so I can't connect to it. And the pass keys on the Authenticator app via the phone doesn't work via VMs. Sign in, I can't access. I want to be able to access it from this device, not this one. How do you do that? Well, you need to set a device extension attribute for this machine. So I have a, where is it? I think I had it open. Oh, maybe it's not this window. Here we go. It's this one, isn't it? So I'm connected to the graph. Got a script. So where is it? This script here, access to pause. So what this does is this connects to the graph, asks me for the UPN of the user whose PC I want to update. So the problem here is you need to know the name of the PC, but you may have so many PCs you don't know that, but each user may be a registered owner of a PC. So I'm just getting it to ask you for the username, and then it will go away, discover all the devices that user has associated with them, display them along with the manufacturer, for example, so you can perhaps narrow it down. So if I just upload that. So let me also just show you here. Let's go to a new tab. In fact, I've got it open in the other one, haven't I? So go here. That's me in Intune. Let's go to devices, all devices, and AKD-404, because that's the one I want to use. Oh, that's got poor access just now. Well, it shouldn't be poor access, it's access to poor. But if I hit refresh, I think that's just from when I was playing around with it previously. There you go. So no extension attribute set. So if I now go back here and access the port, run this. So it's asking me for the UPN. So this is my everyday machine. So I'm going to type andy.kemp, andykemp.dev. Right, it's gone away and it said, right, you've got these devices. So I know it's not my Microsoft Surface. I want to use my Parallels VM. So I'll hit device 1. And that's it. If I just close that, it's now gone ahead. Device name, AKD-404. Extension attribute 1 updated to access to cPAW. Happy days. So if I now go back to this device here, hit refresh, you can see it's now got that attribute set. So if all has gone well, I can now go back to my device. Let's close Windows up and open it back again. If I hit connect, maybe it'll ask me to sign in with my temporary access pass again. Sign in. And hopefully that's me accessing it. So it's allowed me to log in. If I go to another registered device in my Intune, I don't have access to one just now, that will say, no, you can't get there because I don't have that attribute set. If I go back to the Windows app on my Mac and try and add it again, add workspace, ADM, Andy.kemp, dev.onmicrosoft.com. See, I can type it happily now, but before I was having all sorts of issues typing it. Sign in. Cannot access this right now. So this is what I wanted. And again, if I go back to my browser, let's go to a new private session. Go to Entra. Log in as ADM. Kemp at andykempdev.onmicrosoft.com. Sign in with my temporary access pass. I can't get there. Great. I go back to S and let's load up an in private on an Entra joined VM. So entra.microsoft.com. Sign in again, adm_andy.kemp at andykempdev.onmicrosoft.com. Sign in. Again, it can't access it from my everyday machine, but then if I go to the Windows app, connect, loads up. And entra.microsoft.com. I'm now connected. So that's given me the connectivity I need. So I've now locked down access, so I can't access the portals or graph or anything out with this privileged access workstation. And in order to get to this privileged access workstation, I need to be on a specific device registered to my tenant. Like I said earlier, it's still got that stepping stone in the middle. So I still need that device that connects to it. So there is a risk there, and I understand there's a risk. But this addresses some kind of concerns people have in terms of, oh, I don't have the budget for new physical devices. I have to do this. I can't do that. This, for me, meets a need for people who need security, but they don't need it to the nth degree like some companies do. So it's a discussion, but you need to have your own privileged access strategy. What is relevant to you as a business? What do you deem as an acceptable risk? What risks can you not get away with? But also, what can you do to improve your security? So have a think on that, and I'll be really keen to know what you think and what your thoughts are moving forward. Cheers now. Take care. Bye.